Hey, what's up everyone? GameDad here, coming at you guys with a brand new compilation video, and this time we are taking a look at my 5-part series that I did covering my PS4 collection. The PS4 is an awesome console, and honestly, I am really digging the PS5 as well. And I love that it is backwards compatible, so I can still play my amazing PS4 collection. Now, before we dive in, if you are new to the channel or you just haven't yet, please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below, as well as that little notification bell so that you can alert every time I get a new video coming out. Now let's go ahead and jump into the video. First up for today's video is Abzu, released by Giant Squid in 2016, and this would qualify as like a relaxation genre kind of game. It's very chill to go through, it's got awesome looking landscapes, and it's just really fun. Think Journey, but in the water. And here we have the amazing SpiderMan II, released by Beenox in 2014, and this game is not that great. It's nothing like Marvel's Spider-Man that was released many years after this. This one, just the mechanics are very, I don't know, chunky, and they just don't flow very well, much like the newer one actually did. I mean, this one, it does have some cool suits and stuff like that, and it's got some engaging gameplay, but overall, not the best one. And here we have Astrobot Rescue Mission, released by Japan Studio in 2018. And this one I actually did a full playthrough of on Twitch. And I gotta say, this is probably one of my favorite VR games of all time. It's super engaging. It constantly breaks the fourth wall looking back at you, the player. And it's just a fun 3D virtual platforming game. And I highly recommend it. Up next is Batman Arkham VR, released by Rocksteady Studios in 2016, and this one graphically is very impressive. I will say this game is very, very short. It is fun and it's cool. It's kind of like a point-and-click adventure, but in VR, so you get a lot more, graphical interaction. But overall, I would say if you find this one on sale, buy it. If it's full price, don't. Up next is Batman Return to Arkham, released by Rocksteady Studios in 2016, and this is actually a collection with a couple of the different Arkham Knight series games. And this one, it's fun. I mean, you get multiple games all in one, and I'm not sure if they were revamped at all or updated graphically. They may have had some enhancements done, but overall, I mean, it's just fun to go back and play the Arkham series again. Here we have Battlefield Hardline, released by Visceral Games in 2015, and this one was a lot different than other Battlefield games. It was more like a cops and robbers kind of thing instead of, going to war on some actual battlefield somewhere in some other country. But, I mean, it was fun. I just don't think it was as fun as other Battlefield games. Up next is Battlefield 1, released by EA Dice in 2016, and this is by far the most realistic looking Battlefield I've ever played. As you can see, the graphics are just crazy intense. They look amazing, and this one, obviously it's not going to be 100% factual, but it is based on World War I, and that's pretty crazy. Up next is another VR game, and that is Battlezone, released by Rebellion Developments in 2016. And think the old, tank battle arcade games. It's like that, but totally in immersive VR, which is just awesome. The game is super fun to play. It's action-packed. It's got really pumped-up music for you, and it's just a lot of fun. If you got a PSVR, I definitely recommend picking it up. And here we have Bloodborne, released by From Software in 2015. And if you've ever played a Blood Souls game, Dark Souls, any of those, this game is just stupid hard. It's really fun. I really like the fantasy aspect that comes with all the monsters and all that stuff. Very, Victorian feeling. But the game is brutal, as is pretty much anything from Software. Up next is Borderlands The Handsome Collection, released by Gearbox Software in 2015, and this one comes with Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel. And I have never actually gotten around to playing through either of these games. I played the first Borderlands, but that was it. So kind of excited to dive in and check these ones out. I've heard that Borderlands 2 is pretty good. I've heard mixed reviews on pre-sequel, though. Up next is Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, released by Sledgehammer Games in 2014. And this one was just okay. There are much better Call of Duty games, in my opinion. I mean, graphically, sure, looks great. It had an okay storyline. It was kind of cool to see them modeling actual real-life actors and stuff like that. But overall, I mean, it's just a Call of Duty game with way too much future tech. Up next is Crash Team Racing Nitro Field, released by Beenox in 2019. And this game is awesome. It's so much fun to go back and play a Crash racing game. And this with super updated graphics, new mechanics. The game can be quite difficult if you're not playing on an easy mode, but it's still a lot of fun. I love playing kart racing games like this. And here is Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, released by Vicarious Visions in 2017. And I love this because it's the original Crash games, just completely revamped for modern times. As you can see, Crash went in all polygonal and stuff, and it comes out looking mighty fine. So, super fun to be able to go back and replay these games just with super updated graphics. It's really fun. And here it is, Dark Souls 2 by From Software, released in 2015. The game is so stinking hard. You die so much. I remember the first time I ever picked up a Dark Souls game, the dude at the register was just like, "Have you ever played these before?" Told him no, and he just proceeded to kind of laugh and say, "Well, you're going to die." So that's pretty much what these games are, is a death simulator. Now, they do have a really cool story, though, so if you ever get the chance, definitely play them. And here we have Death Stranding, released by Kojima Productions in 2019, and I still have not had a chance to actually play this game. I'm really excited to. My backlog is finally clearing out, and I'm getting closer to playing this game, but so far still haven't done it yet. Don't know anything about the story. I stayed away from spoilers and anything like that. So, yeah. And last up, we got Destiny, released by Bungie in 2014. Now, I originally bought just Destiny, but then I also bought Destiny the Collection later on to give me all the expansion packs and content and stuff like that. So I didn't feel like showing Destiny twice, because essentially it's the same kind of thing, but still a fun game, and at least with the Taken King Collection, it's actually complete, and you can play a full story in it, so that's fun. Destiny 2 was released by Bungie in 2017, and this game is pretty much everything everyone wished the original Destiny would have been. The multiplayer is far superior. The level design, in my opinion, is miles beyond what Destiny 1 was, and the game is just a lot more fun, especially with battle passes and being able to get all kinds of expansions. The game is just awesome. Next up is Dishonored II, released by Arcane Studios in 2016, and this game reminds me a lot of the old Thief franchise. And what I mean by that is the stealth aspect of it, and having to go on not necessarily, secret missions or anything like that, but just having to be extra covert in everything that you do, otherwise risking failing the mission or just becoming overwhelmed. And here we have Doom, released by id Software in 2016. And this game, in my opinion, is the perfect representation of Doom. The old ones, of course, are great, but this one had all the gore and mayhem and everything you could ever want out of a Doom game. It was fast-paced, it had tons of little hidden collectibles and Easter eggs, and the game is just a blast to play. Now here we have Doom VFR, released by Bethesda in 2017, and the game is okay. It gets a little motion sickness-y from time to time with the way the transport system works, but overall it is pretty cool to play Doom in VR and be able to just, rip apart demons face to face. And now here we have Doom Eternal, released by id Software in 2020, and I gotta be honest, I don't really care for this one. I haven't finished it yet, but overall, I really like when it has the fast-paced motion like Doom 2016, but I don't really care for the platforming aspect of it. If they were to make a new game where it was just platforming, then I'd be into that, but when I play Doom, I just want to bash monsters and have a blast shooting stuff. And here we have Dragon Quest Builders, released by Square Enix in 2016. And I got to admit, I haven't actually really played this one. I definitely watched gameplay of it, and it looked really interesting, but at the time, I just never got into it. However, the next game in the franchise, that is definitely where it's at. And here it is, Dragon Quest Builders 2, released by Square Enix in 2019. Now, I didn't really play this one on PS4, I got it after the fact, but I played this one on Switch, and this game is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot say enough good things about this game. Overall, the building aspect is super fun, it's very intuitive, and all the little missions and stuff that you go on, just overall, this game is great. Fantastic story, fantastic gameplay, I would highly recommend it. Up next is Drive Club VR, released by Evolution Studios in 2016. And this is kind of like a Gran Turismo, but in VR. I don't really care for it. I'm not a big driving game fan anyways, though. But overall, I mean, it's kind of cool to actually get behind the seat of a virtual car and drive. But if I wanted to do that, I could just go out and drive. And plus, this has some motion sickness for me for it. Up next, we have the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR, released by Bethesda Game Studios in 2017. And this is just essentially all of Skyrim, but in VR. So it's pretty cool. The motion kind of tracking or the motion movement isn't that great in the game, in my opinion. But overall, it is still pretty fun to actually go face-to-face with the dragons instead of just staring at your TV screen. Eve Valkyrie was released by CCP Games in 2016, and in this VR game, it's kind of like you are doing like space pirate work, I guess you could say. You're going around, you're battling with epic battles in space and going on various missions, like freight missions, things like that. And overall, I mean, it's a lot of fun. The space controls take a little bit to get used to with motion sickness, but it's really not that bad. Next up, we have The Evil Within, released by Tango Gameworks in 2014, and all I can say is this game is messed up. I'm not really into horror games or anything like that, and this one is right up there with those others. It is incredibly scary, lots of jump scares, and it's just super sadistic and gory. I'm not really showing any of those scenes in this gameplay footage because I would probably get a takedown for it, but yeah, if you like horror games, you'll like this. And here we have Evolve, released by Turtle Rock Studios in 2015. And this game had so much potential to be an awesome game, but in my opinion, I think it's total crap. It just wasn't executed very well, and the overall gameplay just really wasn't that engaging, and it wasn't that fun to play through this game. And plus, I'm more of a story mode kind of person and less of a multiplayer. Next up, we got Far Cry 4, released by Ubisoft Montreal in 2014, and this was a pretty good entry in the series. A lot of people don't like Far Cry 3, but I had a lot of fun with that one, and this one just kind of really opened up the entire world of Far Cry, and just everything that's going on in this area, the multiple endings that you get to have in this game. I mean, it's cool, but it's a big game. Up next is Far Cry Primal, released by Ubisoft Montreal in 2016, and I have actually not had a chance to play through this one yet. It looked awesome when all the trailers and stuff came out. Looked like it would be a totally different take on a Far Cry game, and it's just been on my backlog ever since, and I haven't gotten around to playing it. So yeah, maybe in the future I will, but for now, all I can go on is what was in gameplay trailers. Here we have Far Cry 5, released by Ubisoft Montreal in 2018, and this game was fantastic. I think I put more time into this as a mainline Far Cry entry than any of the other titles. It was super fun. The family is just freaking crazy. Like, they're insane. And there was multiple times where I just wished the main guy was real just so I could hit him. I mean, he's such a piece of crap. But overall, this game is fantastic. Next up is Far Cry New Dawn, released by Ubisoft Montreal in 2019, and this one was not a full game. It was just kind of a continuation of the events of Far Cry 5. Now, if you haven't played through that, I'm not going to spoil it, but I will say a lot of people totally crapped on New Dawn. I thought it was fantastic. The gameplay was great, had a cool story with it. It was not a full price game, so that made it even better, and it was just vibrant and colorful. And last up for this video, we have Farpoint, released by Impulse Gear in 2017. And this is another really good, really well done VR game. It's kind of like a Halo shooter meets VR, and it's super fun. I got this one with the actual aim controller, so you get kind of your VR gun to go with it. And overall, it's just a really fun VR experience. I highly recommend this one. And first up on the list today, we have Final Fantasy VII Remake, released by Square Enix in 2020, and I have actually not had a chance to play through this yet. Now, I've seen gameplay of it, everybody's talking about it, it's definitely on my backlog, and I will be getting to it soon, but everything I've heard is that this game is just absolutely amazing. I love the original Final Fantasy VII, and the depth at which this game goes is just going to be phenomenal. Up next, we have Final Fantasy 15, released by Square Enix in 2016, and this game, I did like it. I didn't like it as much as some of the other Final Fantasy games. I was a big fan of 10 and 11, but it was still good. I really liked the graphics and everything, and the story, in my opinion, was okay, but, I mean, overall, I'd give it a pretty high rating for this game. And here we have Fruit Ninja VR, released by Half Brick Studios in 2016, and this game, it's just a blast. I always loved playing the original Fruit Ninja on like tablets and phones and stuff like that, but being actually in the Fruit Ninja world and getting to slash stuff and just swing your arms around like a madman, it's so much fun. If you haven't played this on VR, I definitely recommend it. And here we have God of War, released by Santa Monica Studio in 2015, and this game is an absolute masterpiece. The story was so epic. The gameplay was just on point. I can't think of a single thing that I would ever change about this game, except give me more. On PS5 or whatever, I want another God of War game because this was awesome. Up next is Gran Turismo Sport, released by Polyphony Digital in 2017, and I'm not a huge Gran Turismo fan or just a racing game fan in general. I like more of the arcadey kind instead of the realistic kind, but this one was actually gifted to me by my buddy John Riggs because he knows I'm super into PSVR like he is, so he sent me an extra copy that he had, and I gotta say, it's pretty rad in VR. And here we have Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, released by Ninja Theory in 2017. This is another one on my backlog. I definitely need to get it played because the new Hellblade is coming out for PS5, and I don't know if it's going to be on PS4 as well, but this game looks awesome, and I'm not into like horror games or anything like that, but this one seemed like a total mind trip, so I'm excited to get this one played. And here we have Hidden Agenda, released by Supermassive Games in 2017, and it's interesting. It's one of the PlayLink games where you can like attach your phone to the console and play that way with a group of friends. I don't know. I'm not that big a fan. It wasn't that great in my opinion. And here we have Horizon Zero Dawn, released by Guerrilla Games in 2017, and I will admit, I got about 5 hours into the game, and then I got backlogged with a bunch of other games that I wanted to play, and I never actually finished this one. So again, another one with a new title coming out, so I need to finish this one because I've only ever heard amazing things. And here we have Infamous Second Son, released by Sucker Punch Productions in 2014. And this was actually the first game I ever actually bought for PS4 because I love the Infamous series on PS3, so I had to pick this one up. And the story was not as great as the other Infamous games in my opinion, but it was still really fun and the new mechanics were excellent. Up next is Injustice: Gods Among Us, released by High Voltage Software in 2013, and it's very fighting gamey, but I don't really care for it. I would much rather play something like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter. And here is Job Simulator, released by Alchemy Labs in 2016. And this is another one of those really awesome VR games. I mean, it's just a blast to play. It's absurd and ridiculous. And I had so much fun going through this. And I actually platinumed the game because, I mean, it's really easy to do so. You just kind of play through its areas and you're good to go. Once Vacation Simulator comes out on physical, I'll definitely get that as well. Here we have Killzone Shadowfall, released by Guerrilla Games in 2013, and when I bought my PS4, I got it secondhand. This game actually came with it, so it was the first PS4 title that I had ever played, and it was okay. I haven't ever really been big into the Killzone franchise, but it wasn't a bad game. It was a cool experience to see for my first PS4 experience. Another one for the backlog, that is Kingdom Hearts 3, released by Square Enix in 2019, and the only reason it's on my backlog is because I'm still finishing up Kingdom Hearts 2. So I know there's like 1,000 of these games to make a complete story. There is no way that I'm going to actually play all of those games because I just don't have the time for that, but once I finish 2, I will pick up 3. Here we have Knack, released by SCE Japan Studio in 2013, and this game was more of just a showcase of what the PS4 could do when it launched, and I was thoroughly impressed. I thought the game was fantastic. There's a lot of people that totally dump on this game because it's very kid-oriented with its animation style and stuff, but I thought it was a blast, and I even liked the story. It was corny in a fun way. And here we have Knack II, released by SCE Japan Studio in 2017. This was a follow-up, continuing along with the story from the first one, and there was a lot of things that I liked in this one, especially with how big Knack would get, but overall, I think I like the first one better, and the character models in this, they're just so absurd looking. They tried for realism, but it still has this really weird cartoony effect. And here we have The Last Guardian, released by Gen Design in 2016, and I absolutely loved Ico and Shadow of the Colossus and their remasters, so I had to pick this one up whenever it was released, and the game is fantastic. It's visually stunning, the story is super moving, and it was just really fun puzzle gameplay. Last up on the list for today is The Last of Us Remastered, released by Naughty Dog in 2014, and I will admit I did not play The Last of Us when it was out on PS3. I actually have only played the remastered version, and this game was phenomenal. I do have Last of Us Part 2, haven't started it yet, and I can't wait. I mean, the first game was epic, and the second game looks equally as good. First up, we have The Last of Us Part 2, released by Naughty Dog in 2020, and this is one that is on my backlog. I'm very close to being able to start playing through this one, and I am very excited to. I have heard mixed things, but I've been trying to stay away from any kind of reviews or anything like that. That way there's no spoilers or anything, and I'm really excited to play this game. Next up is Little Big Planet 3, released by Sumo Digital in 2014, and this one is just really a continuation of the first two Little Big Planets. Graphically, it is better because it's PS4 instead of PS3, but overall, gameplay is essentially the same. There's a lot more costumes, new decorations, stuff like that. The story was just kind of meh, in my opinion, wasn't that great, but overall, I mean, another fun game as Sackboy. Here is Loading Human Chapter 1, released by Untold Games in 2016, and this is a PSVR game, and it's okay. The controls are a little bit janky and cause a little bit of motion sickness, at least for me. The story isn't massive or anything. As I said, this is Chapter 1, and I haven't checked to see if they've released more chapters yet, but overall, it's just okay. Up next is Mass Effect Andromeda, released by BioWare in 2017, and this is another one. Have not had a chance to play it yet. Was really excited when it came out, got all the stuff for it, and then other games came out and I started playing those instead. I have heard not great things about this. I don't know if maybe updates have fixed a lot of the issues that people had with this game. If it's with the story, then not really much you can do there, but overall, I mean, the game looks gorgeous. And here we have Medieval, released by Other Ocean Interactive in 2019, and this is a full remake of the original, I believe, PS1 version. And the game looks great. It still plays super goofy. I mean, the controls, they're intuitive and they work as intended, but overall, I mean, its overall concept is kind of a silly game, but it is really fun. I think it's a lot less scary looking on PS4, though. And here we have Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, released by Kojima Productions in 2015. And this game has such a long, stinking intro. Oh my goodness. I thought it would be something like, a regular game where 10 minutes or so and you're in. No, it was like an hour and a half to get to the main gameplay. And all in all, I wasn't super impressed. Here we have Mirror's Edge Catalyst, released by EA Dice in 2016. And if you've ever played a Mirror's Edge game, yep, that's what this is. They are all basically the same. Their controls get a little more fluid and a little more dynamic as the games progress. And graphically, this one is far superior than previous titles, in my opinion. And I mean, yeah, it's just a parkour game. That's really all it is. Up next is Monster Hunter World, released by Capcom in 2018. And this game graphically is beautiful. It is such a phenomenal looking game. I have it on PS4 and I have it on PC. And the gameplay overall, it's really good. It controls very easily. It really builds up your character as you go along, as you start learning new techniques. And it's just fantastic. Up next, we have Moss, released by PolyArt Games in 2018, and this is probably the most gorgeous and best VR game that I have ever played on PSVR. It is fantastic. The story is amazing, and it's not even complete yet, but the story is amazing. Graphically, it is so beautiful, and just I can't highly recommend this game enough. Up next is Murdered Soul Suspect, released by Airtight Games in 2014. And I haven't played through the full game. I kind of got bored with it, to be honest. But in the beginning, it has a like kind of LA noir sort of feel to it, just with its overall theming. And I mean, it's okay. It's not that great in my opinion. Yeah. Now here we have No Man's Sky, released by Hello Games in 2016, and I bought it right when it came out. I was super excited at the potential, and I was completely let down. This game has so much controversy surrounding it. It was not great when it came out at all, and it just had so many bugs and problems, but now the game is actually quite amazing, so you should probably check it out. Here is The Order 1886, released by Ready at Dawn in 2015. And this game did not get very good reviews when it came out. I don't know if that's improved over time or not. But honestly, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was a cool game. It's kind of werewolfy, vampire-y, that sort of genre. But I thought it was a gorgeous game, and I really enjoyed the story. Up next is The Outer Worlds, released by Obsidian Entertainment in 2019, and you guessed it, another one I haven't played yet. All of these newer titles in the past year or so are all on my backlog. I am slowly getting through them, and I've heard really fun and awesome things about Outer Worlds, especially the team behind it that made it, so I'm very excited to actually play through this game. Up next is Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, released by PopCap Games in 2016. And this one, in my opinion, was a dramatic improvement over the first Garden Warfare. They added more actual story to it. The gameplay is way better. The online is way better. Just everything about this game was better. Even the graphics. So this game, I enjoyed. I like this one. Up next is the PlayStation VR demo disc, released by Sony in 2016. They released a few of these, but this is the first one. And I wasn't originally going to include this, but it is a physical thing that I have in the collection. And all it is just, like old school gamer magazine demo disc style. You go through, it's got little snippets of a bunch of different PSVR games, a lot of which I have. And it's cool. Up next is Prey, released by Arcane Studios in 2017. And this is like a remake, reimagining or whatever of the original Prey game. And I had that one, I believe, on 360. And that was a really cool game. I really enjoyed it. This game is absolutely nothing like that game at all. And I really didn't care for this one. Graphically, it's way better. But the story, I don't know, it just didn't grab me the way the other one did. And last up for this video is Putty Squad, released by System 3 in 2014. And if you're looking at the cover of this and thinking, wow, that looks like a dumb game, yep, you're right. It's a dumb game. I saw it, I think it was like $2, picked it up. I have this kind of game, or like this series on a couple other platforms. And I mean, the game is just, it's so dumb. It's fun because it's dumb, though. First up, we have Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, released by Capcom in 2017. And this was the first Resident Evil where they kind of went back to the old formula of, instead of just gnarly gore, jump scare kind of thing, it was more suspenseful. But I gotta say, playing this game in the VR mode is still terrifying. Up next is Riggs Mechanized Combat League, released by Guerrilla Cambridge in 2016. And this game is okay. There have been other like mech-based games and stuff, especially in VR, because it's kind of cool to do in VR, but the controls are a little wonky and the game is okay. It's like they really wanted this to really take off and it didn't. And here we have Rhyme, released by Tequila Works in 2017. And this game is definitely classified as like a walking simulator. Very similar to games like Journey or Flower or Abzu, things like that. It's chill, it's got some puzzles to it, and it's fun. Up next is Rock Band 4, released by Harmonix in 2015. And honestly, if you played one Rock Band, you played them all. And I don't know if the servers are just having issues. Honestly, I don't even know if the servers are still online, but no matter what I did, this game would just not connect. So I got to look at the awesome title screen. Go Rock Band. And here we have Rocket League, released by Psyonix in 2015. And I've got this on a few different platforms, but overall, I mean, it's a cool game. When it first came out, I was very confused. I was like, wait, it's a race car game, but you're playing soccer? Like, it didn't really make sense to me. It doesn't really make sense to me now, but now that I've played a little more, I mean, it is fun. It's addicting. There's a reason it's so popular. Up next is Shadow of the Colossus, released by SCE Japan Studio in 2018. And this game on PS4 looks absolutely phenomenal. The graphical update that this game got from its original launch it's just epic. It's such a gorgeous game. And if you like this kind of game, it's really fun. If you don't like this kind of open world puzzle boss game, you won't have fun. Up next is Song of the Deep, released by Insomniac Games in 2016. And I remember when this first came out, it was like something along the lines of, this was GameStop's like first game, or they were involved in it in some way, or a studio with them. And I mean, graphically, it's pretty cool. It's very Metroidvania-esque, but I mean, it's an okay game. And here we have Spider-Man, released by Insomniac Games in 2018. This is hands down the best Spider-Man game I have ever played. I can't wait for the new Miles Morales to come out on PS5. It's going to be epic. This game is fantastic. If you own a PS4 and you have not played this yet, you have to get it. This is one of the best games on the PS4. Up next, we have Spyro Reignited Trilogy, released by Toys for Bob in 2018. And this takes the first three Spyro games, which are the best ones, in my opinion anyways, and completely gives them a revamp. It's not just like a reskinning. It's like they totally remade these games, but followed, the original blueprint. So it's awesome. And here we have Star Wars Battlefront, released by EA Dice in 2015. And this game had so much promise, and I didn't care for it. I just wasn't drawn in. It wasn't as fun as the original Battlefront games. And I mean, then you get Battlefront 2 after this, and that was just a microtransaction train wreck. I mean, EA really screwed this up. Here we have Street Fighter V, released by Capcom in 2016. And I remember when this came out, I was super excited to play this game, and I was super disappointed in it. It wasn't what I thought it would be. Street Fighter 4 was a ton of fun. This one, like, the fighting was cool. The story was garbage, in my opinion. And actually, when it launched, this game wasn't complete. It was missing tons of features that came as DLC later on. Up next is Super Hot VR, released by Super Hot Team in 2017. And I've played regular Super Hot. I gotta say, This is what I would call the definitive edition. There is no more fun way to play this game, in my opinion, than in VR. To have the ability to move your head and cause motion to happen, I mean, this is so much more immersive in a VR experience. Up next is Thief, released by Eidos Montreal in 2014. And this game, it reminds me a lot of the original Thief, or maybe it's the original one that I played back on PC way back in the day. And it reminds me of that, but a lot less, okay, you've entered the next screen. And yeah, I mean, it's okay. It definitely has like a modern day Dishonored feel to it, but it's an okay game. And here we have Tokitori II Plus, released by Two Tribes in 2016. And this game is just a cute little puzzle platformer. I mean, honestly, if you're looking to just kill a little bit of time, just have some fun playing as some weird bird, I mean, go for it. It's actually a really cool game. Now, here we have Trover Saves the Universe, created by the creator of Rick and Morty. And this game, don't play this with kids in the room. Like, don't. It's not appropriate at all. I mean, there is so much cussing and foul humor and everything in this game. It's hilarious, but I'm telling you, it is not appropriate for kids. Nope. Up next is Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, released by Naughty Dog in 2016. And this was pretty highly anticipated for me. I really love the Uncharted series. Fantastic games. Very much a Tomb Raider feel to them. But honestly, I think these games are more visually stunning than the Tomb Raider games. And this just completed the story. It was awesome. And here we have Uncharted Lost Legacy, released by Naughty Dog in 2017. And this one was good, but it was short and it was not like a regular Uncharted game. It really wasn't. And I mean, I played this whole game in one sitting. It took about 6 hours, I think, and I was done. Up next, we have Wolfenstein II, The New Colossus, released by Machine Games in 2017. And this is a direct sequel. It takes place pretty much immediately following the events of Wolfenstein: The New Order. And it's super fun. It's a great game. This reboot of this franchise is fantastic. And last up is Yooka-Laylee, released by Playtonic Games in 2017. And this is a fantastic 3D open world platforming game. It's super fun. Like, it's totally in the vein of Mario 64 and Mario Odyssey, like all those kind of games. But it's fun. It's a new, fresh take. And the game is fantastic. So there you have it, everyone. That was everything that was covered in my 5-part series covering my entire Sony PS4 collection. Now, if you liked today's video, please be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please be sure to also hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell so that you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later.